Hi, this is Heidi, episode 36, Heroes, Victims, and Villains. Life isn't a spectator sport. Success comes to those who show up every day with a pocket full of courage, grit, and a little sparkle. I'm glad you're here. Hello, friends and family. How are you doing? How is your April going at home? Maybe you're alone. Maybe you're with family. Maybe you're with all of your kids home. You might be tired of the same board games that you've been playing a lot the last month. Maybe you've had enough Netflix or Hulu for a while. I know my family, friends, and I have really enjoyed doing some Zoom hangouts and all that, but we really are missing seeing each other. I know my kids really miss seeing their friends in person. So even though I have the tools and I teach mindset and awareness to my clients, I have to manage my own emotions and watch some really sneaky thoughts, creating very unhelpful emotions at times. I woke up yesterday totally unmotivated and lacking energy and even excitement. It was rainy here in Boston, and I think I was having a hard time just switching into a different gear after the Easter weekend. So I did exactly what I teach you and my clients to do. I wrote down everything I was thinking. It was so helpful because I could identify what was creating that frustration and confusion I had. And in some ways, I just had to accept that I was going to be unmotivated on a Monday morning. I listed my priorities and then reminded myself a few times, I don't have to want to do the things I need to do today. Like I tell my kids all the time, you don't have to want to do it. I'm just going to push through and I'm going to be kind to myself. I didn't tell myself that I should really feel any different way. And I always remember I have a choice to do what I'm doing. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to stay home. I'm choosing to work on a new, super exciting new program with a new website coming, and I'm choosing to have all this new, and I'm also choosing a very relaxed routine at home with the kids. So telling myself it's a choice puts me into a much different attitude and feeling in my body. So that really quick summary of how I pivoted my mindset is a good introduction to this episode today. I've thought hard and intentionally on tools that can help you right now in this situation of April 2020, when most of us are staying at home, working from home, some have lost jobs or are furloughed. We don't know when things are going to change. I'm not even saying go back to normal. In many ways, we don't want things to go back to the way they were before. This is a giant reset for lots of us, for the world. So we don't know when we're going to be able to resume life with social contact, going to stores, schools, restaurants, seeing people in person. And right now it's very easy for us to feel victim to this COVID-19 virus. Some people have even fallen victim to it physically. And there's nothing they could do to avoid the disease. It's an invisible disease, like all are. And scientists are working very hard to help us learn more about this kind of invisible threat, invisible villain. And others of us feel victims to the virus economically, personally. Those of you changing wedding and graduation plans, some feel victims to it financially, or your education plans are on hold, or they aren't what you anticipated they would be. So you might not be feeling that exact phrase and terminology like a victim, but watch now some of your thoughts and comments and see where the things that I'm going to explain today are going to pop up. One reason we want to even fully admit that we're feeling this way a little bit is because every time we feel like we're the victim, we have to have a villain. Now, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. The world is now victim to this virus. The villain is a virus. But since we can't see this villain or get really mad at it or yell at it or blame it, we project our anger onto other people. We unconsciously make other people the villains. And again, more on that when we dial in kind of what this victim mentality is. Okay, drawing from several articles from Helpline.com and Psychology.com, I'm going to give you some pretty good definitions of what having victim mentality really is. This is something that we learn. It's not something we're born with, which is really good news because we can unlearn it. We can change if we want to. Now, this victim mentality rests on three basic beliefs. First, victims feel bad and unlucky. Things have always happened to them and will continue to happen to them. They think nothing good happens to me. Second, other people and circumstances are always to blame. So they're never to blame for what they feel or what they do or what they don't accomplish in life. Third, they also feel there's no point to trying to make anything good happen in their life. All of their efforts to create good will always fail, so they just don't try. So victims are almost allergic to any personal responsibility for what happens to them in life. They don't want to be accountable, so they blame everything and everyone, making nonstop excuses. They don't want to take responsibility, and they respond to life obstacles by saying, well, it's not my fault or I can't. And one common phrase we hear and say is, well, other people are just luckier than me. Life comes easier to them. For me, well, it's harder for me to make money or to lose weight or to be successful or to get the promotion or whatever. So victim mentality is seeing a negative situation and then not being willing to take even one step to improve the circumstance or find solutions. Often victims also won't take help from other people because unconsciously they like and desire the empathy and the self-pity and the victimhood that they're in. It's what they're comfortable with. Now, ironically, if they did succeed, they wouldn't know how to handle that emotion. Subconsciously, they're more comfortable with failure and blame because it shields them from vulnerability. Victims feel they're morally right and that they aren't responsible for their situation or their actions, and they actually feel they deserve incredible amounts of empathy and sympathy. And this is how deep the lack of accountability goes. Okay, powerlessness is a big part of victim mentality. And right now, a lot of us are feeling a huge lack of power or control over very big parts of our lives. Our jobs, our daily schedules, our vacations, our free time, and so much more. People stuck in victim mentality usually have very low self-esteem. Their mind is full of very negative self-talk. Like the stock ticker tape at the bottom of their mind is always about how worthless and bad they are. And they might even look for negative intentions on the part of other people to hurt them, even when other people have no negative intentions. But they put on the lens of the victim, so they look to misconstrue what other people do or say to make it mean something negative about them. Now, this super negative emotion is like an emotional addiction. It's what they're used to. It's an automatic response to challenges. They've practiced it so much that it's natural. Now, I traveled a lot for work in my 20s and sometimes was traveling with coworkers. And I remember several times almost missing flights, and even maybe we did miss flights, with one coworker in particular. And she would always say, well, it's a full moon. Of course this happened. It always happens this way. And I remember thinking, like, what the heck are you talking about? The moon for sure didn't slow us down and did not get us to the airport late. The moon didn't distract us from checking our watches while we ate too long. We are the reason we missed our flight, not the moon. Now, I never said anything to her, but it happened so often that she blamed the moon or some other extraterrestrial elements for our bad fortune that I found it amusing. Now, blame can be easier than handling the accountability. A mild form of victim mentality is being like Eeyore, the donkey in Winnie the Pooh. Eeyore was always depressed. He talked like he was so sad. He carried himself as a victim. He didn't see the good that his friends were always bringing him. Now, I can think of times in especially my late adolescence and early adulthood where I felt the victim of unknown and unseen circumstances. I remember feeling blame and anger, and I really didn't know where to direct it. What I needed to do, but didn't do then, was direct it inward, not in an anger sense, but really asking the hard questions of what am I responsible for here? Instead of blaming, how can I change the situation? How can I have power? I slowly did it, but it took time. And even now I look back and I have compassion on a girl who didn't like certain parts of her life and decided anger was easier to handle than responsibility and accountability. Now, right now, people are feeling uncertain and disappointed and nervous. And we're all working on processing and allowing these emotions. Now, we can choose those and allow them, but if we don't acknowledge them and appropriately identify that the villain isn't our boss or our spouse, or the villain isn't the school system canceling prom, we might lash out and make other people the villains. And before I go further, I want to say that many people who are stuck very, very deep in this mentality have had some trauma or abuse in their early life. So I want to be very clear here. Some people do need very strong professional therapy and even medication to handle depression and overcoming traumatic life events. So seek that out for yourself if you need that help. It's worth doing the hard work to move forward in life. But for most of us right now, especially navigating how we respond to changing circumstances, we can recognize when we're falling into this victim mentality. And I have several shifts you can make in your thoughts so you become the hero of your situation. And remember, you're only responsible for you and the things in your lane. That might include a company you run or children you care for, but stay in your lane and let other people deal with the potholes in their lane. So the first important aspect of being the hero is owning that you create the positive and the negative emotions that you're feeling right now. Write down at least one positive feeling that you've had lately and give yourself credit for creating that happiness or that peace or the pride that you fixed something in your house or that day when you really did have a lot of confidence that things were going to work out. You made those emotions happen in your body by what you were thinking. Now, and this is where it's a bit trickier, especially if you have kind of the victim mentality and pessimistic attitude very, very deeply ingrained in your body. What are the negative emotions that you're feeling lately? Write them down too. Just like you create the positive, you're also creating the negative emotions. The virus is not creating that. The news on the media is not creating it. It's what you are thinking about those things. Are you feeling frustrated with the online unemployment system? Name the emotion. Now, the computer and the website, again, they can't create that emotion in you, even though I know it seems like they are. Frustration comes from you thinking, why isn't this working? I don't know which button to push. How do I know where to fill this out? Which category am I? Why isn't this explained well here? Those thoughts create frustration. Just write them down. Don't change them until you understand you're creating that emotion. Next, when you're feeling a little victim-y, the Eeyore complex has come over you. Get into reality and name who the real villain is. Right now, the villain is a virus we can't see. As much as people want the villain to be our government leaders or their company who furloughed everyone, or the teenager who refuses to get out of bed before noon and won't clean up their food from a midnight snack, or the neighbor who's super insensitive playing their music so super loud, those people are not the villain. When you find yourself getting mad at them, this is a good sign that you are misdirecting your anger. When you feel it coming on, you'll be able to pivot easier into managing your emotions and responsibly reacting the way you want to react. Next, keep reminding yourself of things you are good at doing. I got a job before, and of course I'll get a new job. I learned these hard skills years ago. I can totally learn new skills now. I'm great at cooking all these meals at home. Good thing I can practice cooking so much more. Show yourself more and more evidence of what you have done in the past, how things do work out, even when in the past you didn't know how they would work out. This helps reinforce your thoughts that even now things will work out. Good things do happen to me. I keep reminding myself of times when we were forced to adjust to a new normal. Each time we welcomed a new child into our family, even adjusting after having a miscarriage, losing friends and family members. I have evidence that things will get better, and I can be part of the solution. And I want to be part of the solution because I want to be the one choosing what my new life looks like after this. The last point for pivoting from victim to hero is to become very aware of what you can control in your life right now and what you can't. Often when we're feeling like that self-pity and victim-y, we're giving away power and control to other people or things, since of course victims don't want to be responsible for how they act. And right now we want control, which is why we're out hoarding toilet paper and anything else stockable. In addition to the TP, we also have control over what we think about anything going on. We have control over what we think of the virus. We have control over how we react to our job and financial situations. We have control over how we spend our money now, even if we're feeling a little uncertain about income. Now, I've heard many stories of people getting creative with how they're selling stock that they've had in maybe their small stores. I heard of someone who runs a yoga studio who has 0 clients right now. She posted online that all her products are for sale and that she could deliver to people these packages for their now at-home yoga classes. She sold everything from her store. She found a solution to a problem. And that didn't come from her thinking she's the victim of the virus. She became her own hero and took responsibility. We have control over the news and entertainment we watch. We have control over who we talk to on the phone and the family and friends we reach out to. Remember, we don't have to wait for other people to initiate contact with us. Victims feel like no one reaches out to them. They're the ones with no friends. Heroes send the text to get the contact rolling. We have control over the software we learn, or new skills, or also how much self-care we give ourselves in this time. Is a daily long bath helping you mentally? Then do it. You have control over that. Now, one big thing that we can't control is this. We can't control how other people think, feel, or act. So instead of trying to force our husband to be at peace, instead of being irritated that he's irritated, we can choose to let everyone else feel the way they want to feel. We can stay in our lane and we can understand that we can react the way we want to react. I caught myself a few weeks ago feeling a little victim-y myself, thinking of how one of my teens really needs the structure of going to school. And I was feeling kind of irritated and even mildly resentful that I now need to be the one to buckle down and provide that structure. Well, I needed to provide it if I wanted to. It was totally disempowering and I felt like a little defeated with the thoughts I had. I noticed these thoughts and feelings. Then I started thinking, well, of course, I am the best one to help him. We can figure this out together. I totally have all the tools and this will be a great opportunity for us. And we're working well together. Well, it's working. Let me be honest. It's working. And I only found motivation and solutions by giving myself back the power. I dropped the idea that I was the victim right now. Remember, every victim needs a villain. So if you have someone in your life who's feeling very powerless and having tons of pity parties and feeling the victim now, you might be the person that they see as the villain. This is very important to know so you don't read into their behavior as being so offensive to you. Your teenager who's feeling huge uncertainty and disappointment now may lash out at you. They can't yell at the virus. They can't really direct what they're thinking at anyone they can see, so they may direct it at you. When you understand this, you can have more compassion and understanding. When you have someone act out of anger or some emotion or response that's unusual, quickly ask yourself, is this person right now feeling the victim of something and accidentally projecting this anger onto me? Are you or your spouse feeling nervous or uncertain financially? And are you making the other person the villain unknowingly? Now listen, I want to remind you, don't tell someone, well, you're acting like the victim. No name calling, okay? Especially in anger. No labeling. That does not help people shift from being the victim to the hero. Your job is to first understand you are always responsible for how you respond to this victim. You're always responsible for your actions. You can acknowledge the person's feeling bad and then just hand back responsibility to them. We want people to acknowledge that they're feeling the way they are. Ask the person what they could do to improve the situation. So you put responsibility and accountability back on them. You might need to say, well, I know you can handle this. You've done hard things like this before. I think it's always best to give less advice and more encouragement. Give positive reinforcement about their ability to improve and find a positive solution. Offer to brainstorm ideas with them, but you'll find a lot of times the victims aren't looking for solutions yet. They're only looking for evidence to further their position as the victim and their inability to have anything good happen to them. Remember, they are feeling negative, and you only feel negative if you agree with them and want to. They are feeling the victim, and you don't have to unless you do something that creates that negativity in your body. Episode 22 talks about mirroring emotions if you want to go back and listen more about that. That could be really, really important in this quarantine time. You don't have to reflect back to the Eeyore their attitude. This is what it might look like with your teenagers. Let's say your teenager gets mad that teachers are emailing that they didn't get the online work done on time or something school related, and your teen gets really angry that all the logins for their school suddenly aren't working and rants about the dumb teacher and how much they are not learning. Your teen feels the victim of this virus, and they have so many emotions swirling like disappointment and insecurity and fear and so forth. They can't yell at the virus, so they blame the teacher and the computers for everything going wrong. They feel the victim and they find a villain. Just realizing this will allow you to first say, I know you're feeling disappointed and mad or whatever. I'm sorry this is happening to you. Then put it back on them when the time is right. How can you find your login? Or how can you get that essay to the teacher? You're making them the hero without actually saying it. You're refocusing their head from excuses to now solutions and responsibility. You're not going to swoop in and fix it. You're totally confident they can fix it after honoring and acknowledging the frustration first. Your spouse may be feeling very uncertain and scared and anxious about their job, or they may be feeling pressure to keep people in the house happy. They may snap after a long day at laundry all over, or angry their favorite lunch meat isn't in the fridge. Recognize they may be feeling the victim of the virus, and the laundry or the food, or you are the villain. It actually isn't about you. Tell them you know it's aggravating not to have what you want in the fridge. They probably don't need you to direct them to something else, but you could offer maybe to go out and have a drive together to get out of the house and go pick up the favorite takeout somewhere. So finally, I do want you to know it's okay if you find yourself in a pity party from time to time. The faster you recognize it and can start taking control of your emotions and start finding solutions. And please, you guys, don't compare yourself to other people on social media. Once you start finding solutions, you'll drop the pity and you'll start finding ways to take back your power. And using this power, even in small ways, is going to make you the hero of your life. Now, I hope this has been very helpful to you. I am working with more and more clients. If you'd like to sign up for a free half-hour call so I can help you change the emotions that you're feeling right now and feel in control and feel like the hero, please go on my website, HeidiBenjaminson.com, and sign up for a free mini session. I now only have a couple spots a week that are open for those because times are filling up with clients, which is so exciting. And I just have some wonderful, wonderful stuff coming out in about 2 weeks. So I hope you guys have a great week. I'll talk to you next week. Stay safe and stay well.